I am Desiree Crouch, your Get Your Life coach, and I am in Madrid. So if you've been following my journey, then you know that I am living in Madrid for the next 3 months. It was going to be 6 months, but that visa process had me like, I guess I'll do 3 months for now. So I'm in Madrid for the next 3 months, and this is my bohemian year. I'll be going to different countries over the next year, staying there long enough to, live and really experience the culture and just in this space of deciding what my next looks like. And so, if you have been following my Soft Life CEO series, then you already know I am about that soft life. 2024 was my softest life ever, and I am still living that life. And I believe in being soft and bold. I believe the both come together, that you can be the CEO of your life, your business, your career, all the things, and still be that person that is bold with the softness to be able to relax in your feminine energy, being able to relax and not be that hyperachiever going all over the place, doing all the things, and still have the edge that you desire to have as an assertive and bold woman. So, anyway, today I'm talking about the cost of delaying versus deciding. And the reason I'm talking about this is because I am an overcoming. I have overcome people pleaser. I'm a recovering people pleaser. And so I know what it means to feel like you don't want to make decisions because you're afraid of what other people think and you're worried about what people will say or how they'll act. And I used to be that person that would say, "Oh, I don't care about what other people think." And it's like, girl, yes, you do. Otherwise, you would do some of the things that you've been thinking about doing. And so I wanted to talk about the cost of delaying versus deciding, because a lot of times you'll hear people talk about living the soft life. And I think many times, especially people like us, high achieving women, we are thinking about like, I'm not lazy, or I don't know how people can like not do anything or not get anything done. But that's not what soft living is really about. Having a soft life is not about being lazy or not getting things done. I get things done. I still achieve things, and I still love a challenge and all of that. That doesn't take away your ambition or the things that you desire to do. It just means, where is our balance? There was a time where I felt like I was always in my masculine energy. I was always in the type A, just feeling like I gotta have things done all the time. And for a good reason, like I had to like drive my life. I gotta get things done. And I think that sometimes we feel like we have to do that because we're getting things done for our families, we're getting things done for our community, and we have attached our self-worth to getting things done. And I am people. Listen, I have been that person looking for the gold star, looking for the award, the reward for all the things. Even if I was doing great work, it was still feeling like I was chasing something. And some of us have been like this our whole lives, especially myself being an African American woman, being one that was first generation college student. And then I was a nerd anyway. I did like learning, but the pressure to do well in school, you have to go to college, you have to get these things done, and before you know it, you're an adult, and this is how you're carrying on in your everyday life. And so, with that being said, when I started, considering, well, what would it look like if I didn't have to work this hard? Like, I feel like I'm working super hard. Sometimes I would know, and I'm sure you do too, you would feel like even my B plus work, I'm not working as hard, and you still feel like I could be working harder. Like I could really like kill this if I really wanted to, but you can feel yourself pulling back. But we don't pull back with everything. We're working 120% on every single thing. And I realized there was this sense of needing this external validation, and especially being a Black woman and feeling like if I don't do it, then I won't be able to get certain opportunities. And so feeling like this pressure of I had to do all the things, study extra hard, do all these different things so I could just get something, just a little bit, work double as hard to get half the things. That is what that rhetoric, right, that I grew up with. And so now I'm in the space of like, even though I know and I recognize there are disparities, there are inequities and in different spaces that we're in, I'm deciding that I'm not going to allow that to run me, because it was running me ragged. And I'm like, I can't let that run me ragged. I'm not doing that. And so I just decided to switch my disposition on the inside. And so it's an inside work. And so when I talk about the cost of delaying versus deciding, we can delay running deciding to live a softer life. When I mean softer life, I mean a life that I am not hyper achieving. I'm not hyper achieving to my detriment, and I'm choosing to lean into my feminine energy, leaning into my softness. And feminine energy is power. Like leaning into my femininity is power. Like doing more by doing less is powerful. And so I feel like because I've decided to do that in delaying, I mean, when I was delaying doing that, I had high blood pressure. I think I've shared this before in a lot of spaces in 2024. I mean, at the end of 2023, I was told I had high blood pressure for the first time in my life. I'm a dancer. For most of you that have been following me, I have a nonprofit dance company that me and two friends started in 2004. And most of my life, for a good 15, 17 years, I was dancing almost 15 years. I was dancing like 10 hours a week at least, between classes, rehearsals, and all the things. I was dancing a lot, never had a problem with anything health wise as it related to blood pressure or anything like that. In my mind, like furthest thing from me. But when I transitioned into corporate and started being a coach, consultant, full time trainer, I was traveling a lot, on the road a lot. I didn't exercise as much. I mean, I was always active. I took classes here and there. I would go walking, I would go running. I ran like a half marathon, 10K, but I wasn't working out at the same level. And plus, I had a higher stress job. Like, I was, always traveling, had to prepare for speaking, was in meetings a lot. And so before I knew it, who knew? Like, if I wouldn't have gone to the doctor, if I would, because sometimes we just like, oh, I'm healthy, whatever about an appointment. Or maybe everybody's not like that. Maybe it's just me. But I was like, oh, it's whatever. Went to the doctor. She said, your blood pressure is a little high. And I was like, oh, I was rushing. That's why I was a little high. And a couple months later, went back and they're like, oh, your blood pressure's still high. Gonna have to, monitor it. If it doesn't get lower, we're gonna have to put you on something. And that was like my moment. And that is, to me, the cost of delay, the cost of ignoring our bodies, the cost of being on this hamster wheel. I didn't even realize how much of a pusher, achiever thing, grinding things out, getting things done. People would say, Desiree, why don't you, chill? And I was like, I think I do chill. I'm actually really good at chilling. I'm like that person that work hard. What is it? Work hard, play harder. I've always had that as like a rule of thumb for me. And so when people would say it, I'm like, yeah, of course, I'm that person. But it wasn't, obviously I wasn't paying attention to my body because my body hadn't caught up with the way that I was pushing, 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 pushing. And for such a long time, dance was an outlet to get stress off of me and things like that. And so that wasn't my outlet anymore as much as it used to be. And so it had caught up with me. And so me delaying, not taking care of my body, me delaying this slowing down because I didn't want to look like I wasn't a team player. I didn't want to delay, like saying that I was going to do things because I wanted to, catapult my career. And, one day, I realized, especially when I got that high blood pressure reading situation and had to monitor myself and made the changes. I don't have high blood pressure because I made changes. I didn't take any, pills to do it. And no knock to anybody that did, but I decided to make the changes. This is my wake up call. And I was, it really made me think about like, wow, like this is the cost of delay. The cost of delay is your health. The cost of delaying, like that still small voice that like I know God was telling me, you need to slow down, girl. Like stop playing, like you need to chill out. And I was just like, oh, I'm good. Or we do things like we'll take a vacation, and my eyes all did like this because we do things like it's a band-aid over a bullet wound. Like I could have took a vacation, but it's like my everyday habits, how I am doing things in life, how I am approaching life, how I'm approaching my life. That is what had led me to where I was. And so the more that we delay, there's a big cost. There's a cost of delaying, not living that softer life, not leaning back. And most of it, the first thing is our health. That is the big cost, is our health. The other thing is I was depending on working hard to make more. And, people can say whatever they want to say about money, but I have desires to give back to my community. I have desires to do things for my family. And so I know that, costs money. And so it doesn't have to be a lot, but it does have to be more than what I was bringing in at the time. And so I have always had a side hustle. I like to call it a side simple now, but I call it a side hustle then and for everybody else. And so I've always had other things that I did. So while working full time, I wasn't in a structure where I wasn't working in a place where people had these enormous amount of bonuses. I created my own by working on the side. And so I knew I had to do things on the side that would be easy for me. And that was like my first realization of I can create something that will allow me to bring in money easily as a great, and it was a great side hustle. And I would still, if my job wasn't super demanding, I probably would still work full time with a side hustle because I know how to manage that. And I have been managing, working full time with side hustles for years. And so I know how to create a side situation that doesn't stress me out because I didn't want to be stressed out. But the delay part is when I realized that I made like almost $80,000 while working full time in a side hustle. And it was so easy for me to do it. I was like, yo, like, there's something on this. And so, what people make in a year, I was making in a side hustle while working full time. And that was my realization that I could be doing things that are easier. Now, when I talk about the cost, let me just be straight up because everybody not gonna say this. Like the cost of doing, consulting work. That's what I was doing, and I still do consulting work, coaching work. Like it can look really shiny, but I've been an entrepreneur for most of my life, all my adult life. And what I do know is there are things you do need to prep for. Like when people talk about jumping in, like when you're going to be a consultant, you got to make sure you realize you're not getting a paycheck every 2 weeks. You are contract portfolio based. So you have to have your finances in a place where you're not stressed about that because some people will jump into it because they're sick of, working full time. And I am an advocate of like, work full time, use this as your side hustle until you feel like it is coming to a place where it's like matching your income. And so I was super close to matching my income. And so I felt really confident about jumping ship. And plus, I felt really stressed at work. Even though I love the work that I did, I felt stressed. So I was like, you know what? This is a great time for me. My thought is, had I delayed that, I would have missed out on being able to see how much I could make on my own because I wasn't going to get that where I was working in the position that I was in. And so I'm so glad that I took a chance on myself. And again, it is a chance because anything can happen. But I decided to take a chance on myself. So there is this cost of delay that can be missing out on, opportunities to grow financially. I was had the cost of delay for me was health wise, and if I'm real talk, I could have rolled out of my full time position to do what I'm doing now, and if I would have been really not afraid of like leaning back and just doing things in a way that felt good, I could have been making more a long time ago in this real chill mode that I'm in now. I think that I was so feeling like I had to work super hard and, work the 40, 50, 60 hours a week to do what I'm doing. And I think that that is like a misconception. I don't think that you won't ever work like that, even in entrepreneurship or any endeavor that you desire to do. I do believe that there are seasons where you work more. I do also believe that you don't have to work like that all the time. And you can set up a system where you don't have to do that all the time. And I used to think people was like, faking when they would say stuff like this. And then I became people. And I'm like, no, this actually can be. But you also have to manage yourself to look at the way that you do work differently than when you do in a full-time job because we are trained to work hard. Think about it, you all. We went to school to work, whatever. I don't know how many hours we went to school. How many hours did we go to school? 6 or 8 hours, whatever. You're a kid going to school all day. It's like we're being trained to work long hours and think about how much you actually are productive at work or at home. And and this is like when you're in school or when you are actually at work. Like, think about how often you're productive. This is even before most people have been working virtually. You know, back in the day when just about everybody had to be in the office. Like, think about how productive you were. Like, sometimes you have a water cooler talk. You're taking a long walk to lunch. Okay, maybe this is just me, but I was very productive. Like, I got things done fast, at least the things that I really enjoy doing. I never really liked administrative work as much. For the most part, I get things done fast. I'm going to produce. I'm going to be great at what I'm great at. And so I never, like, sometimes I would just be done. It's like, okay. Or I would be overdoing it. And not in a bad way. I'm not saying you should be mediocre. That's not what I'm saying. But I do feel like sometimes we do things from a place of I am trying to prove that I'm amazing. And when you do things from I'm trying to approve to amazing, that is the overwork I'm talking about. I'm not talking about you being in a creative flow and you just want to keep working and doing things because you're in this creative flow and you're killing it. I know what that feel like. I love feeling like that. That's not, I think that's actually like hashtag goal. Like, that's how you want to feel, right? But I'm talking about feeling like, oh, I got to get this done because I don't want them to think I suck. Like, I'm over that. I'm just, because I don't suck. Let's be clear. And neither do you. And so the cost of delaying gives you the keeps you from having the opportunity of seeing your potential, what you could make, what could be possible for your life. And then the cost of delaying can also be your health. And when I'm saying delaying, I'm like delaying being this person that can live in your soft side, being in this place of self validation, being in this place of moving the way that you desire to move. That is the cost of delay. We might not get the opportunities we want. We may not have the finances that we want. We may be living less of a life than we would actually desire to do because we are delaying doing something different. And because living soft is different. And again, my definition of soft is not, what the world says, like, oh, spa days all day, which I'm cool with, or not do anything. I'm sleeping all day. But it's like, no, it's just like relaxing into your good stuff. Like, I'm relaxing into my power, I'm relaxing into my boldness. I'm relaxing into it in a way that allows me to achieve without overextending myself or making my worth about achieving. And that's very different. And so there's also a cost to deciding to live like this. And I think that that is the reason that most of us don't choose this path, is because there is a cost to living like this. One cost is people gonna have something to say because you're gonna have boundaries that other people are not used to you having. I didn't have that much of a problem, but I know I know others. They feel a lot of tension when having to create boundaries at work, create boundaries with their family, create boundaries with whomever. And because of that, it keeps them from fully stepping into the decision that they want to make, which is to live more soft and boldly. And so for me, before I even left my job, I had to. I wanted to live more soft. I was like, I am working too hard out here in these streets. I'm tired, and so I had to be bold and say things to my colleagues and coworkers about just the way that I wanted to do work, and they love me. I love them. We actually, some people are like, oh, you can't love your coworkers and you can't have good relationships. I've had good relations with a lot of my coworkers. People can say, oh, you're fortunate, whatever. I think a lot of people have good relationships with their coworkers. Everybody is not miserable at work. I actually enjoy my coworkers. They were super cool. And so, but I still, again, recovering people pleaser, I was afraid to, say when I needed something, or I was afraid to and I don't know, it's just this complex of not wanting, wanting to feel independent. And I think some of it, at least for me, came from growing up not wanting to bother my parents. They already had enough to think about and just wanting to do things myself. I'm like that latchkey kid, right? Like, okay, I'll take care of it. I'll cook. I'll do whatever. And so because you're doing so much for you, it kind of comes out in adulthood, right? So it's like, I don't want to ask people for anything at work. I don't want to be a bother, right? And so I had to get over, like, Desiree, you're not a bother. I had to start telling myself, like, Desiree, you're not a bother. And so, like, that is the cost of living this life. I get to say stuff out loud, the things that I really feel and desire. And make requests about what I want. Like I didn't always ask for what I wanted. I would tiptoe around it because I didn't want to be a bother because I thought I was a bother. And so that is the cost of it. You get to step outside of your comfort zone and literally step into being something that you have not practiced being. I wasn't practiced being bold in the way that I am now. Others would say that I was bold and outgoing because I was the kid that I'm a dancer. I don't sing, but I'm a karaoke queen, in my opinion, because I entertain, even though I don't sing well. And so people would think I'm bold because I'm fun. I step out. I was one that did a lot of youth work back in the day. So most of my work before I started working in corporate was with young people. And so you had to be silly. That my whole job was to be silly. Like it was a vibe. And so with that being said, people would say like I'm bold, but on the inside, I didn't feel bold because I would tiptoe around asking people for stuff. I have to even navigate that now and be like, Desiree, that's not you anymore. Like, girl, say what you need and stop playing. And so people wouldn't think that know me now, but I know myself then that I would not always be quick to ask or to say no, and all those things. And so with that being said, that's the cost of me deciding to live like this is I actually get to say what I need. I actually get to tell people this is what I don't want. I actually get to be bold in saying what it is that I offer and how much it costs, like that all together, right? And so a lot of my clients, some of them are, entrepreneurs, some of them work full time, some of them work full time and have side hustles. So they're very, much like who you are, or you might be thinking about it. But my whole thing about living this soft life is really about deciding to live the life that you desire. Period. With a T. How would you like to live? Go live like that. I feel like I spent a lot of my life wanting to appease what everyone said was like success, and it starts so young, you all, right? I wanted to be on the honor roll and was wanted to graduate college with honors and did, all these things. Wanted to have, multiple degrees and do all these things, and there is still someone else's measure of success, and they're not wrong. Whether you got degrees or did not get degrees, neither one is wrong. What I want to implore is that we have lived by someone else's definition of success. And I just believe that it's high time that we decide what our definition is. And I've decided what mine is. And in deciding what mine is a cost to decide. And so whether you delay, and you miss out on whatever opportunities, whether that's relationship, financial gain, whether that's just peace, whether that's good health, like that's the cost of delaying. There's also a cost to deciding. And the biggest cost to deciding is, at least for me and most of you, I believe, if you're anything like me, the cost of deciding is that you get to open your mouth and say what you need. You get to start being bold. You get to be okay that some people are not going to be okay with how you decide to live your life. You're going to have amazing people supporting you. I feel like I have amazing people supporting me in my life. I also feel like there are probably things I said or decisions that I've made that everybody isn't happy with, but I bet your bottom dollar they respect the decisions that I've made. And because I'm okay with me, it's cool. You know what I mean? Like I'm okay with me. So, whatever. It's like, I hope you're okay with me, but if not, I'm okay with me. And so that is also a cost for someone like myself. And it may be like you, that's overcoming people pleasing, or, people might have this expectation of success. And especially if you really value your loved ones and your family and what, vision of success you may have explained to them over the years, but now you realize that's not your vision of success. They might not, be feeling some of your decision making right now, but maybe that is what's best for you. But I do believe that there is a way that it can be done, and in a way that is soft and bold. And that's how it's been helpful for me, even as a recovering people pleaser, because I'm also an empath. I love people. I feel feelings. I feel the room, all of that. And so I'm always conscious of people's needs being met, but I've done it to my demise over the years, not meeting my own needs. And so now that I'm in a place, a very healthy place of making sure my own needs are met, I've, really found different ways to how can I articulate, communicate things boldly while also being kind, meeting my own needs while honoring others in a way that feels good and allows me to still move in a way that feels good to my life and leave relationships intact. And that has been like the biggest thing for me. And I found that everything seems harder until you start doing it, right? It's always hard until it's a habit. That's what I typically say. It's hard until it's a habit. And so in me deciding to live this soft life and no longer delay it, I was able to, match my income from my full time job to what I do now. I've moved to Madrid for 3 months and I'm doing my bohemian year, just deciding what I want to do. It's so much fun because every time I talk to people about why I'm moving, or they're like, "Oh, what made you move? Like, why do you want to move?" And I'm like, "Cause I can." Like that's my answer, and it's fun to say. It's real, it's sassy, but I don't care. I'm like, cause I can. That's why I'm here. Cause I can. That's why I'm doing this. But it's just true. I just decided that, you know what? I've never lived abroad. It would be great to do it. I've always wanted to be indulged into another culture and learn a second language, and Spanish is the one that I've been working on most of my life. And so maybe I'll be able to do one of these lives and actually talk partially in Spanish and fluently in one. Well, we'll see what day that is. I'm working on it, you all. Necesito practicar. But yeah, so like I just really believe that a lot of the ways that I'm living my life now, I'm living it because I've decided that the cost of delaying did not outweigh the cost of deciding. And so I want you to decide that the cost of delaying is not as, like it's not worth the cost of deciding. Yes, it sometimes it feels nerve-wracking to say what you need to say. It says it's nerve-wracking to be making decisions that are not aligned to who you've been being over the last couple of years. But I'm telling you, it dang on sure is better than losing money on the table, not having my freedom of time, or just the peace of mind and just being in optimal health. All of the things that I know have come from me deciding, I'm so glad that it outweighed me sticking around, delaying and further not having what I desire to have. And so if this resonates with you, go ahead and put something in the chat. If this is your replay, hashtag replay, so I know you're watching it. And let me know what else you would want me to talk about, what resonates with you, like, share, all the things. And if you're free in 2 days, dos dias, I will be doing a live webinar masterclass, Soft Life CEO Blueprint. I'm so excited about doing it. It's over 70 people registered, and I'm excited about sharing my Soft CEO Life Blueprint with those that come. This is for high achieving women leaders that just desire to reclaim their softness, reclaim their life so that they can, really strategize in a way that allows them to be soft and bold. Because most of the women that I work with are high achieving women that they've done so many different levels of success. And so it's just time to just choose what's different and how can we live a life that allows us to feel soft living it and enjoying it, and to like get rid of the cape and still enjoy our life, still do amazing things without those things being what defines us as successful. And so if that's you, I'll go ahead and drop the link in the chat after I hit end on this live stream. And please register. It'd be lovely to see you there in 2 days. Dos dias. In 2 days, I'll be doing that live. And you'll be able to also hear about my Soft Life CEO Blueprint class that I'll be having as well. I'll be sharing that opportunity for anybody that wants to continue to work with me post the masterclass. But not to worry, I don't do fluffy masterclasses. I've been to a few, but for the most part, I think I've been to less fluffy master classes than I have like good ones. And I do good ones. I do great ones, in my opinion. You're going to walk away feeling like you actually went to a session and got something out of it. And the classes for people that want to continue to do that work, that are ready to invest in themselves. And so if that's you, you can hear about that at the class. And either way, it'll be a good time. So I hope to see you there. Go ahead and register. 2 days left, those dias, and I'll see you then. Until the next time, go and be great. Bye.